President Donald Trump has threatened military action in Nigeria over alleged killing of Christians. Now, Trump threatened to send US forces into Nigeria with guns a-blazing if Nigeria does not stem what he described as the killing of Christians by Islamists. Now, the US president said that he has asked the Pentagon to map out a possible plan of attack. Trump's warning came a day after he had said that Christianity was facing an existential threat in Nigeria. Trump said if the Nigerian government continues to allow the killing of Christians, the United States will immediately stop all aid and assistance to Nigeria. He then went on to mention that there is a possibility of a military action to wipe out Islamic terrorists who are committing horrible atrocities. Trump's Secretary of War, Pete Hegseth, responded to Trump's post, saying that his department is preparing for action. He added, either the Nigerian government protects Christians or we will kill the Islamic terrorists who are committing these horrible atrocities. He did not add how US will target these alleged terrorists. Nigeria's President Bola Ahmed Tinubu had earlier pushed back on Trump, announcing the day before that he was designating the West African country a country of particular concern for allegedly failing to rein in the prosecution of Christians. In a social media statement on Saturday, Tinubu said that the characterization of Nigeria as a religiously intolerant country does not reflect the national reality. Several US lawmakers, including Senator Ted Cruz, have claimed that Christian genocide and persecution in Nigeria have been on the rise. Nigeria is divided between a Muslim-majority north and a largely Christian south. Figures show that between 2019 and 2023, nearly 17,000 Christians were killed in the country. In just the first 7 months of this year, more than 7,000 victims were reported. However, experts say that the violence is indiscriminate. The country is consumed by security issues. Its northeastern region is at the epicenter of a Boko Haram jihadist insurgency. According to the United Nations, it has killed more than 40,000 people and displaced more than 2 million since 2009. In central Nigeria, majority Muslim herders have repeatedly clashed with majority Christian farmers. The conflict is frequently portrayed as inter-religious, but generally stems from competition over land access. All right, and joining me to discuss this further from Thailand is Nathan Paul Southern, who is the Operations Director at the Eyewitness Project and also a columnist. Nathan, thanks so much for joining me here on the broadcast. How do you see Donald Trump's open warning? Is there weight here? Do you feel US will actually send and carry out military action in the region, or is it another one of those statements which come from Trump, which then eventually take a U-turn? How do you see this one?
When it comes to Donald Trump making any kind of statement like this with the threat of military action, even if it seems unprompted and incredibly disproportionate, I think it would be dangerous for us to not take those claims seriously when we've seen what's been happening with military buildup in Venezuela, the designation of cartel groups as terrorists, which has allowed them to start doing airstrikes and targeting people that they're not at war with. So the prospect of Trump using military action in a situation like this is not it's not impossible. It is something that we need to take seriously. There are a lot of questions over how that would even happen, though. I don't think Trump or the Pentagon actually have a plan in place about how they would make these attacks into Nigeria work. They've not specified exactly which group they are going after. I mean, you have Boko Haram, but you also have the Islamic State offshoot. Both of those groups are warring with each other as well. There's various ethnic groups that are Muslim that may also be involved in the killing of Christians, but also more probably Muslims, which are the larger casualty numbers of the various conflicts and security concerns in Nigeria. But now the US has lost the majority of its military presence in that part of Africa also. So it'd be very difficult, but not impossible for the US to rally its troops from somewhere like Djibouti, where it has quite a high presence, and actually move a land presence into Nigeria. Airstrikes are, of course, a possibility, and it's not something I would rule out Trump doing.
Nathan, when it comes to the factors which are driving violence in this region, there is land access, there is land grabbing, there are herders and farmers going at it. Then, of course, there is a major religious divide. Do you see all this, or is there more which is causing the violence?
There is so much more to the idea that this is just a Christian genocide, which is what the right wing in the US are trying to claim. There are a lot of Christians being killed. The majority of the casualties are, however, Muslims. Yet there are some areas of the country where the amount of Christians that are being killed could be seen as vastly disproportionate to the amount of Muslims simply because of the population size in that area. But overall, to simplify this throughout the country as an attack or a genocide on Christians doesn't really have much value to it. It's not even really a religious conflict the majority of the time. Like you mentioned, there's land dispute. There's also inter-tribal violence. There's inter-ethnic groups within Nigeria. There are various different jihadist groups that are fighting against each other. And there is also the growing presence of the different splinter cells of Al-Qaeda, Islamic State that are operating throughout the Sahel and our growing presence in Nigeria also. The situation in the country is incredibly complex, and the Trump administration doesn't seem to have said anything that shows an understanding of that, and instead seem to be playing to their base of protecting Christians abroad, which is in no way actually a US foreign policy principle. And by accepting, if you did say that there was a genocide being committed against Christians and you were going to take military action, but then you didn't in Gaza, it shows that you have a foreign policy that's led by some kind of religious ideological principle, which is also not backed up by science or any evidence. So they seem to be playing into their base, but it also seems to be the one way that Trump can then justify further military aggression when he ran on the premise of being the president who will end these forever wars.
You raised some pertinent points there, Nathan, regarding safeguarding Christians. It's not part of US foreign policy, but it seems to be becoming a major branch of Trump 2.0, at least, like we've seen in the last 2 months, domestically and now internationally as well. Nathan Paul Southern, thanks so much for joining me here on the broadcast. There will be more to discuss. Would love to end the broadcast again.
Drop your own opinion in the comment section. For more news and updates like this, subscribe. See you in my next upload. And bye for now.